Good evening and welcome to Global Lens News. I'm Sadia Afsal. Just months before America's crucial midterm elections, President Donald Trump has reignited one of the most controversial debates in modern American politics. He has once again claimed that the 2020 election was influenced by foreign interference, this time alleging that China illegally obtained personal information from around 220 million American voter files. The timing has sparked an important political question. Is this a genuine national security warning, or is it a carefully calculated political strategy aimed at shaping the narrative before Americans head to the polls? Let's unpack what is happening. President Trump says China acquired voter information from 18 states and has ordered investigations into what he describes as a massive intelligence failure. He has also declassified hundreds of intelligence documents, claiming they support his allegations that Beijing attempted to help Joe Biden during the 2020 presidential elections. These are serious accusations. If proven, they would represent one of the biggest foreign intelligence operations ever directed against the United States. However, there is another side to the story. The American intelligence community has consistently maintained that while China considered influence operations, it ultimately did not conduct a campaign intended to change the outcome of the 2020 presidential election. Multiple intelligence assessments reached that conclusion after reviewing available evidence. China has categorically rejected President Trump's latest allegations. Beijing's foreign ministry called the accusations completely fabricated and politically motivated, insisting that China never interfered in the US presidential election. This creates two competing narratives, one coming directly from the White House, the other from America's own intelligence agencies and China itself. The question now is not simply whether China collected data. Intelligence services around the world routinely seek information on foreign countries. The much bigger question is whether that information was actually used to manipulate voting systems or alter election results. So far, President Trump has not publicly presented evidence showing that votes were changed, voting machines were hacked, or election outcomes were directly altered through the alleged data collection. The distinction is extremely important. Collecting information and changing an election are two very different allegations. Now, let's look at the political context. The timing of these claims has drawn enormous attention. America is approaching midterm elections that will determine control of Congress. Recent polling has shown declining approval ratings for the president, while many voters remain concerned about inflation, the cost of living, the ongoing international tensions, including conflict involving Iran. Historically, midterm elections are often difficult for the party controlling the White House. Political analysts, therefore, see this speech through two very different lenses. Supporters argue President Trump is exposing threats that previous administrations ignored and demanding stronger election security before Americans vote again. Critics argue that he is reviving disputes surrounding the 2020 election to energize his political base, shift public attention away from domestic challenges, and cast doubt on future election results if Republicans underperform. That is why many observers describe this as a possible preemptive political move. In politics, controlling the narrative before an election can be almost as important as the election itself. If concerns about election integrity dominate headlines, public debate may shift away from inflation, healthcare, immigration, or foreign policy. The Democratic Party has strongly criticized President Trump's speech. Leading Democrats argue he is once again undermining public confidence in American elections. Senate Democratic leaders insist American voters choose their leaders and warn against spreading unverified claims that could weaken trust in democratic institutions. Former Vice President Kamala Harris also accused the president of attempting to convince Americans that their votes may not matter. Meanwhile, President Trump is once again pushing Congress to pass the Save America Act, legislation that would require proof of citizenship for voter registration, stricter voter identification requirements, and significant restrictions on mail voting. Republicans argue these measures would strengthen election security. Democrats counter that they could make voting more difficult for millions of eligible Americans. This debate highlights one of the deepest divisions in American politics today. One side believes stronger safeguards are essential to protect elections. The other fears those safeguards could suppress voter participation. And then there is China. For Beijing, these accusations come at a time when US-China relations are already strained over trade, technology, Taiwan, cybersecurity, and military competition. Any renewed allegations of election interference only add another layer of mistrust between the world's two largest powers. Even if no new evidence ultimately changes official intelligence assessments, the political damage to bilateral relations may already be done. The broader question is whether this debate is really about 2020 or about 2028 and beyond. Election integrity has become one of the defining issues in American politics. Both Republicans and Democrats now accuse each other of threatening democracy for completely different reasons. As another election approaches, public confidence itself has become a political battleground. Whether President Trump's latest allegations uncover previously unknown intelligence or simply reopen an old political controversy will ultimately depend on the evidence that emerges from the newly declassified documents and any official investigations that follow. Until then, Americans are left with competing narratives, competing political interests, and competing interpretations of the same events. One thing, however, is beyond dispute. In modern politics, perception often shapes reality long before the ballots are counted. Thank you for watching. If you found this analysis useful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments.